Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am your host, Commander Claw, and I'm here to bring you an on-site kill commander. Because if she does what she does, the game is over for your opponents. And possibly you if you're not careful enough. But once again, we got another Boros commander that wants to have extra combat phases, and it just says game over. Let me introduce you to Lightning Army of One. For one in Boros, 3/2 body, legendary human soldier. She has first strike, trample, and lifelink. That's crazy. She has 3 keywords for 3 mana. She's already off of that, she's good. Then she has the ability Stagger. Whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. So I mentioned extra combats, right? So essentially, if you have extra combat phases, you're doing double the damage once you connect with a player. Okay, that's awesome. I'll get to that at the end. So I want to share other cards that can help support your deck. But I think the other thing I need to shed light on is the Final Fantasy set in general. I've noticed that because of spoiler season right now, they are encouraging players in their commander design to connect with combat damage to another player. So that whole thing is called Saboteur. So you need to be able to connect with combat damage to a player in order to trigger an ability. And this is what Stagger is. So as you're deck building your deck, keep in mind ways to have evasive creatures or make your creatures unblockable. Because if you can't swing and connect, you don't get the trigger. And that is the situation right here with Lightning, Army of One. On to the first card. Access Tunnel. This is an auto-include Access Tunnel for it's a land. I'm sorry, it taps for colorless. But tap 3 mana, target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. Lightning of Army of One is 3 or less at the beginning. I know you're gonna add other spells to it, auras, equipments, enchantments to buff its power. But you need to connect that first time, or maybe that one time, and you got other ways to deal damage, which will eventually double. But hey, this is a land that gets you started. Moving on. So hear me out. This is important when you read cards. So let me introduce you to Arc Bond. 2 in a red. It's an instant. It says choose target creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage this turn, it deals that much damage to each other creature and each player. So, Lightning Army of One ability says whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn, it would double the damage. Okay? Until your next turn. So, let's say the scenario is you go to attack and you deal damage to a player and you trigger her ability. Until your next turn, the damage is double. So, the scenario happens where Lightning Army of One or another creature is on the battlefield, right? Whatever, or another creature is on the battlefield. If you cast Arc Bond, triggering its ability whenever a creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each other creature and each player. That's double the damage. You can start doing your own imagination on how much damage that could be. Because if somebody swings with a 10/10 creature and you choose Arc Bond for that creature and you block with another 10/10, everybody's taking 10/10. And it's really 20 damage, just to give an astronomical number. Moving on. So this card, I know some of you all are not gonna like it, just because you may not get my idea here. I think Phyrexian Vindicator for 4 white mana is a really good card. 5/5 body, creature, Phyrexian Horror. It has flying, but it says, if damage will be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator, prevent that damage. When damage is prevented this way, Phyrexian Vindicator deals that much damage to any other target. What I like about this card, it's going to survive a blasphemous act or other spells that deal damage. It can only be removed without triggering its ability if it says destroy target creature or exile target creature or sacrifice a creature. But the reason why I like this card, because it's going to stay on the battlefield. And you don't want, or your opponents really don't want to damage it. They don't want it to take damage. So you literally have a 5/5 flying blocker. And if it takes damage and you trigger Lightning Army of One, you get to swing that damage somewhere else. And it's double if you have Lightning Army of One triggered until your next turn. I think this is a nasty card for it. For 4 white mana, I know it's expensive to cast, but if it sits on the battlefield, your opponents are panicking. Moving on. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. This card is one of these toxic cards. I've played against it several times, and if an opponent or you don't have a remove target enchantment, you're not playing the game without losing life. Mana barbs for 3 in red enchantment. It says whenever a player taps a land for mana, mana barbs deals 1 damage to that player. So if Lightning Army of One is on the battlefield, I guess they will be taking 2 damage for each land that they tap. Ouch. Trust me. Players are going to hesitate unless they're just going to crash out. Moving on. Look, this is one of the new extra combat phases spells that are out there from the latest set, Aether Drift. It's not the latest set, but the latest set that released the extra combat phase besides Tarkir Dragonstorm. Full Throttle for 4 and 2 red, sorcery. After this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases. At the beginning of each combat this turn, untap all creatures that attack this turn. Literally for 6 mana, you get 2 additional combat phases. That is a crazy rate. Essentially, if you have extra combat phases and you dealt damage with Lightning Army of One, you're doing double the damage. You're just doing double the damage, and you're causing chaos. Nothing else said. Yo, so thank you for watching this video. Lightning Army of One is an on-site kill commander because if she connects with damage, any source is dealing double the damage, and that comes from you, the owner of Lightning Army of One, or your opponents. That's where she gets really ugly, and hey, it is a group slug commander in my opinion. Let me know what other cards that you suggest to help other deck builders build this commander. I'm sure there's something else out there that I didn't even think of yet. And, this is spoiler season for Final Fantasy, so all the ideas are a brewing. Thank you for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe.